Hello again, thanks for being with us. Another city in East Ukraine has come under heavy shelling. Local self-proclaimed officials say 4 people, a child among them, were killed. And there are some pictures emerging too from the city of Stakhanov in Lugansk region. A 5-storey house that we're seeing here has been severely damaged by shelling. Witnesses say that a cafe and a post office as well were all hit, along with residential buildings in the shelling there. Let's take a look at the map. The artillery fires also continued in the city of Donetsk too. That is Donetsk. You can see the focal point of the standoff between the army and local militia. Now, on Sunday, Kiev relaunched its military operation against anti-government positions in the area. The international airport's coming up on the map there. Has been the main target for such a long time now. It's been the scene of the fiercest battles taking place. Fighting's also flaring up across all the rest of a lot of the front line as well, all these combat locations. RT's Roman Kossarov is continuing to follow the situation on the ground there in the region. This is the latest from him.
The war continues here in the east of Ukraine, and on Wednesday morning the shelling of residential areas of the city of Donetsk had resumed as well. Multiple areas have been affected, and I have a very long list of various apartment buildings that have been destroyed. And right now let's take a look at the consequences of what happened here on Tuesday. Residents in Donetsk live in constant fear for their lives and those of their loved ones. But as their experiences prove time and again, the rockets can come at any time. The district emergencies ministry chief says it was near impossible to perform their duties to save people's lives.
The yard outside just took an incoming. There are 9-storey apartment buildings located in this neighborhood, plus a kindergarten and a grocery store. Those are high-voltage transmission cables just outside our station. They've been severed and are now hanging low right there. And we can't go outside right now because of the massive barrage.
According to official UN figures, nearly 5,000 civilians have lost their lives in the east of Ukraine. Those numbers seem far from final. This is just one of many areas that were hit by the Ukrainian artillery shelling here in Donetsk. Several people have died as the result of this attack. An old man has died right here at this bus stop as he was waiting for transportation. For the people here in Donetsk, a home to at least 1 million citizens, staying safe is probably top priority. Roman Kossarov, RT, Donetsk.
Tensions between Israel and Palestine continue to be high after a Palestinian armed with a knife wounded at least 12 people on a crowded bus in Tel Aviv. Hours after that attack, a dramatic security video of it emerged online. It shows bus passengers fleeing the scene as the attacker himself runs from the bus. He's seen stabbing one of the victims in the back, who then falls to the ground. Here's Paula Sleo with more details.
The attack happened in the early hours of this morning here in Tel Aviv as a bus made its way to the center of the city. The information we have suggests that the perpetrator boarded the bus around 400 meters from the crime scene. He then proceeded to stab the bus driver in the chest twice. That bus driver is currently being operated on. He then went on to stab passengers in the front and middle of the bus. According to medics who arrived at the scene, people were suffering from stab wounds to their upper chest, their neck and their back. The information we have about the perpetrator: he is a Palestinian from the city of Tulkarem. The assumption is that he was in Israel illegally. Security in the area managed to shoot him in the leg, and he is currently in custody. Hamas has welcomed this attack, saying it is the natural response of people living under occupation, while the Israeli Foreign Minister Avigdor Lieberman has blamed both Hamas and the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, saying that they and their friends are responsible for incidents like this. It follows a series of attacks against Israelis in the past few weeks. There was an Israeli soldier who died after being stabbed in front of a bus station here in Tel Aviv. There was also another incident in Jerusalem where 5 people were killed while praying in a synagogue after 2 people entered that synagogue and proceeded to stab and kill them. Paula
Sleo, our Middle East correspondent there. One of France's biggest newspapers has fallen victim to a cyber attack. A few strange posts appeared on Le Monde's Twitter with the Syrian Electronic Army, the group notorious for hacking into the social media accounts of the BBC and CNN, among many others. That story's at RT.com. Plus two, you can read about a Chinese company becoming the first to successfully build this on a 3D printer. It's a 5-story block of flats, as well as this huge villa, all from construction waste. Clever. A damning report by Human Rights Watch says French police are routinely harassing and abusing migrants camped out in the northern port town of Calais. There are about 2,400 now illegal immigrants living rough and in limbo while trying to attempt to sneak from there, cross English Channel over into Dover and Britain. Here's what one of them had to say to us.
I'm go to the street alone. At that times, came face to face the police. I'm go to that way. The police came for me. No ask anything, without any reason, without any problems. Just the one police, you know, the sticks beat my noses. One police, you know, beat for legs. After that, my full down.
19 asylum seekers, including children, say they've suffered beatings by police. 8 had visibly broken limbs. Many had cut and bruised faces. The report refers not only to cases of people caught trying to board UK-bound vehicles, but also while walking in the streets of Calais. The findings describe grave living conditions with no shelter, no access to toilets and very limited access to running water. Iselectus from Human Rights Watch blames the French government, too, for not doing enough now to help these vulnerable and desperate people.
So I spoke to, indeed, over 40 migrants and asylum seekers in Calais. I also spoke to them about their living conditions. About half of them described having been exposed to police abuse and either violence. I could see for myself that some of them had a broken arm, for example, or visible injuries on their face, on their leg, which was consistent with what they were describing about the abuses they had faced. We met with advisors to the Minister of the Interior here in France. We also met with the government representative in the Pas-de-Calais department. Their response was indeed that if these people are facing abuse, they should go and file complaints with the police or with a prosecutor. The point, though, is that these are people who were in a very vulnerable situation, in a very precarious situation. The fact that they haven't actually gone and filed complaints, as other citizens may do, doesn't mean that they aren't facing these abuses. And indeed, this is why we went and did this work, to give them a voice and to reflect these experiences that they were describing.
Well, France's Interior Minister's hit back at Human Rights Watch for not verifying the accusations first. He says the group should have brought the information to the authorities before making it public. Elsewhere, rising public transport costs have spurred further violent protests in the Brazilian city of Sao Paulo. 9 were detained after scuffles broke out at a subway station as people tried to jump the turnstiles before being stopped by police. Thousands turned out in this latest protest you're seeing there, another scheduled for Friday. Yemen's capital is on the edge as rebels there still continue to vie for political power. The leader of the Houthi group has warned the president now that he must honour a power-sharing deal struck in September. They seized the presidential palace on Tuesday and also now control the state news agency and TV station. Officials describe the situation as an attempted coup. Thanks for being with RT International live from Moscow. Just come up to 26 minutes past 5 in the afternoon here now. I'm Kevin Owen. Maybe see you again in half an hour. Between now and then, though, with an eye on Davos and on the wider European economic struggles right now, boom bust on the air next.